In your lifetime, you're going to produce 2 swimming pool sizes of saliva. That's a lot of saliva, but does your mouth ever feel like the Sahara Desert? Dry, even after you drink water? Or maybe it feels coated with cotton, or it sticks to the roof of your mouth. Chances are you have dry mouth and aren't producing this much saliva. In this video, we will look at what dry mouth actually is, what causes dry mouth, ways to fix a dry mouth, and what to do if it doesn't go away. I'll also be sharing with you 3 methods I would use. So stay with me till the end. And real quick guys, before we get started, it would mean the world to me if you hit the like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and turn the bell on next to it to stay up to date with new weekly videos. Let's start by addressing what actually is dry mouth. Dry mouth occurs when you have hyposalivation, where the amount of saliva that you normally produce a day, which is anywhere from ½ liter to 1.5 liters a day, is reduced. And there are 3 pairs of major salivary glands and approximately 600 to 1,000 minor glands. The major salivary glands are the submandibular gland, the sublingual gland, and the parotid gland, with the submandibular gland right here responsible for 2/3 of your saliva. And when we talk about salivary gland dysfunction, that's just the umbrella term for which xerostomia or dry mouth falls under. But you can also have hypersalivation, where you have too much saliva, and it's your acinar cells, which are the secretory cells within these glands that are responsible for the production of the primary saliva, right? But since it's reduced, we have to first identify what causes this drop in the salivary flow rate. Because remember, saliva is important. Even though it's 99% water and only 1% protein and salts, it helps maintain the pH of the mouth from 6 to 7.5, which is really important because the more acidic the mouth becomes, the more chances of teeth decay. And also helps to start the digestion process since it contains alpha amylase for starch breakdown. It remineralizes our teeth, it fights germs, and so much more. So it's important to get to the bottom of this. And to do this, we have to look at what slows down the saliva flow rate. One of the biggest causes is side effects of medicines. Look at how much the percentage rises when you go from 2 medicines to 6 to 7. There are several hundred medicines that you can count that have dry mouth as the most common side effect. This is because they have the same pathway involved that ends up activating the sympathetic nervous system, thickening and limiting the flow of saliva. And remember, sympathetic nervous system activation goes back to fight or flight. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. And guess what? Producing saliva falls under digestion. It's parasympathetic. The second biggest reason is chemo and immunotherapies. These can also make the saliva thicker, causing the mouth to feel drier. Next, we have Sjorgen's syndrome, where the immune system attacks the glands that make tears and saliva. This is where you get dry eyes at the same time. Nerve damage from an injury to the neck or head, and even diabetic neuropathy is a classic example of this because the nerves around the salivary glands are very susceptible to changes in blood pressure. But then there are some causes that you may have never even thought of, like watching scary movies, going on a first date, snoring all night, and even mouth breathing throughout the day, all cause a dry mouth. The key is to address what's causing your dry mouth, because one remedy that works for someone might not work for you, and vice versa, since the dryness is coming from a completely different reason. You can have dryness from dehydration, which is an easier fix than someone who has dryness from radiation therapy. And in terms of ways to relieve dry mouth, there are a couple of things you could do right now. But for example, if medication is causing dry mouth, your doctor or dentist may advise changing your medicines or adjusting the dosages, or maybe even prescribe a stronger solution, which we will go into as well. So keep watching. So the first thing I would do is try to sip water more regularly throughout the day. 99% of your saliva is water. So if you're not adequately hydrated, don't expect the water to get into the salivary glands either. Second, limit your caffeine intake. For some, caffeine dries up the mouth, but for others, it doesn't. Third, try to stop tobacco products if you take any. The nicotine in tobacco reduces your saliva flow. Fourth, get rid of any mouthwash that contains alcohol. Switch it out for something like the Biotene Dry Mouth Oral Rinse, which provides relief for up to 4 hours. Fifth, try chewing on sugar-free gum. There's evidence that using a xylitol-containing gum or candy 4 to 5 times a day for 5 minutes after a meal or snack can reduce caries-producing bacteria. Sixth, start breathing out of your nose more. Breathing through your mouth can dry out your gums and the tissues that lines your mouth. All these methods are proven to work, but I want to share with you my 3 strategies that you can also try. One of them that I want to share with you is an Ayurvedic solution from the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, which involves holding a few tablespoons of coconut or sesame oil in the mouth for 10 to 15 minutes without swallowing. It's a method called oil pulling, which has helped some. Coconut oil can oxidize sucrose on strep mutans, preventing the regeneration and reattachment of plaque. This is great for keeping teeth healthy too as you're going through the dry mouth. You could combine this method with acupuncture. If you have never done it, find the most reputable place near you and treat yourself to the best session you can find in your city. And this is the first time I've ever mentioned acupuncture in any of my videos because it's hard to find good studies on it. But for dry mouth, we actually have a randomized control trial with 58 people that found significant reductions in pain, dysfunction, and xerostomia were observed in patients receiving acupuncture versus usual care, which is actually very fascinating. And lastly, taking zinc. Research just from 2 years ago looked at the role of saliva secretion in zinc deficiency and found that zinc, of all things, is present in high concentrations in taste bud membranes and salivary gland epithelium and myoepithelial cells. It is considered that zinc is responsible for both taste perception and saliva secretion, as zinc deficiency results in the reduction of taste sensitivity and impairment of saliva secretion. And when you don't have enough saliva, you're not going to be able to taste anything. Oftentimes the result of this can be, but not always, tied back to a zinc deficiency. But how common is a zinc deficiency though? Don't we get enough zinc from our diets? Well, only 17.3% of the world's population is at risk by using zinc deficient food commodities. Some people attribute this back to the soil not having enough zinc that limits crop yields and could possibly affect human zinc deficiency as well. Here's a geographical overlap of what that looks like. In some countries, when the zinc in the soil is low, so is the zinc in the body. But also, there are those that are just more prone to zinc deficiency. Here are some of them, with vegetarians being on that list. If you're able to invest a little bit more, zinc picolinate will absorb better according to this research, which you can find it in my Thorn collection that I linked for you down below. It's one of the most clinically studied zinc supplements available in 15 milligrams and is better than most brands out there because of Thorn's commitment to quality. There you can also shop my entire collection as well as my top 3 favorite supplements. If none of these options work, you may need to speak to your doctor about medicines that can bind to the M3 site in your mouth to stimulate saliva. The M3 receptor has been identified as the target to increase salivary flow rates. 2 medicines can do this. 1, Saligen or pilocarpine, or 2, Evoxac or cevimeline. Some studies show that cevimeline was better at increasing saliva flow rate though, just keep that in mind. You want to use these only when your teeth feel like razors, spicy foods start to hurt bad, and if you're waking up out of your sleep to sip some water, or if nothing else that you've tried works. Talk to your doctor about these options. But I'm more curious to hear from you guys though. What are some tips for dry mouth that you know about that I missed? Would love to hear from you down below. Subscribe if you thought this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.